Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Chronicles of Apple from the apple of my eye, and as usual, it is very chronic. I am going to be chronically laying all my thoughts about this particular war that's taking place. And I know that the Lord is convicting me to pray over Israel, and I take joy in that. It is completely a joy on my part to be able to pray for Israel because as a woman, I know that the Lord is near and dear to us. I know that the Lord hears our prayer, and I know that the Lord wants us to come forward and reach out and pray. And in this hour where we have so many countries in the brink of war and at war, we need to show greater compassion and understanding. And all I could do as a citizen is to just lend an ear unto Israel. And I do this video so that people that are actually doing the job of spreading the news would realize that we are listening. I am listening, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that I know that they are hearing the news and they're listening. They just don't know what to think of everything. And little by little, it's breaking down that brainwashing. So we have an issue of brainwashing all over the world. And it is so bad to the point that we have now Germany trying to basically shackle the leadership in Israel over their need to defend themselves. It's as though no country should be able to defend themselves, and they should just give free rein for anybody that wants to attack them. And this is to me baffling. I do not think that this is rational at all. Like, I don't know why it's a necessity for Ireland, Spain, and one other nation. I don't know. It's not Norway, is it? And another country in Europe that wants to recognize Palestine. And I don't understand. And this is, like, these leaders all over these nations should be educated. But what they have is either a strong blackmail or a need for oil so badly that they have to listen to the orders of the powers that be. And I feel as though there is sort of like a twisting of the arm upon the European nations to give credibility to Palestinian authority. And we know that this concept of Palestine is nothing but a mockery unto Israel. And I know in my heart that ICC must be packed with either an antichrist society of people. I mean, whatever, those are supposed to be judges and everything from all over the world. And they are so heartless upon Israel. They do not care about the rule of law. I don't know what they're following at all. Because the law is for the criminals, not for the people that are trying to do things right. And it is very clear what took place on October 7 is an attack on civilians, including children and babies. So this level of atrocity is so severe. And who in their right mind goes and builds tunnels for the purpose of killing their neighbors? Who builds those tunnels? Imagine the amount of resources drained for the purpose of attacking their own neighbors. Okay? And they nothing is ever enough. Everything that was ever offered to the Arabs in Israel was never enough. And they were given land, they were given the Gaza. And what did they do with the money that they ever had? It is only for the purpose of pleasing Allah. And like I was telling people, The Muslim people do not know that there's a difference. They may know the difference, but they somehow assume that they have the superiority over this. And they have a God like Darth Vader. Let me repeat that. Allah is like Darth Vader. And so Allah, which is in their own language, it means nothing. Al is the. La means nothing. No. La, lo. Okay? So it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Okay? Allah is nothing unto God. Okay? But this is the deity, this pagan idol that they have revered since the time of Muhammad is nothing but a sham. And because it's a lie, it is a religion on the basis of deception and lies. It doesn't like the truth and is making all these people all over the world, well, there's a 1.5 billion Muslims, turn into basically shadows. It's turning the people into shadows, a vessel of demonic activity and demonic possessions. Because 15 to 25% are deemed to be radicalized under Islam. And there's one article I had found that was refuting that. And I find it so laughable. I mean, the person said, well, the radicalized doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go and put arms and get guns, They could just be radicalized, but they're not necessarily picking up guns. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so using and stabbing, acid, killing your own sister, your own mother, all those things are not being taught from the Islamic teaching? Well, they are, okay? And the difference there is that because of the amount of fear upon a lot of these Muslims, because they don't have the word of God, in all honesty, if they had the word of God, they will be able to tell the difference. And so for Christians, we know the difference. But sadly enough, there are Christian teaching that doesn't tell us that. And unless you are willing to do your own research, it's easy to fall for appeasing the enemy. It's like we keep feeding alligators after alligators and snakes after snakes. But we are not necessarily teaching the truth. Okay, it's not teaching the truth. And so this is the time where I believe a lot of the ex-Muslims, a lot of the ex-Muslims, ex-terrorists that are delivered by the Lord will have to stand up and rise. And unfortunately for Israel, they do need to have give more exposure to the terroristic things that the Muslim people had perpetrated on Israel. And this is not to say that Israel is always perfect. No, they are not. But let's face the facts. You do not see Jewish people just going and ransacking and pillaging babies, okay? That is never, that is just inconceivable, okay? For those of us in the Western society, it's inconceivable. But in terms of the Muslim society, because of the fear and the deception, they are willing to please Allah in all means necessary, even if it means killing their own family. Okay? So if they are willing to kill their own family, they're willing to kill anybody. Okay? So this radicalization that they're trying to minimize, it is so laughable. And then you've got the ICC. What is this international court? It's like if you were to put a warrant against Netanyahu, well, where is all the warrant against all of the American leadership? What do you think Nagasaki and Hiroshima? I mean, did it not kill anybody? Did it only kill? I mean, that is the most insane. If there is anything like a collective punishment, that is a collective punishment right there. Okay? What the U.S. did after getting attacked in the Pearl Harbor, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Think about it. And so, I mean, You don't instigate a war and start running around acting like a victim. There is no other way. When you have a situation in such a small country, how do you get rid of that? Because if they did not, 1,200 people that have died and several thousands more having, incurred at the very least a traumatic experience from what they've had on October 7th, and Holocaust people are still alive. Technically there are still those people, and by the way, you can't deny it, because I took care of those people that had the tattoo. I took care of them. So I'm not saying they're not the only ones I ever took care of. They're the minority of most of the people I took care of in the nursing home, but they are still in existence, and this is literally peeling the scab off. Okay, for the Jewish people. And not only that, this is now international. We now have the whole world appearing to be conspiring against Israel, which to me is not necessarily true. It is just that those voices are the loudest. Okay? All of my friends that are pro Israel, they don't get to go and they don't do any protest. We're all sitting and wondering what the heck is going on. I tried to voice out my opinion because I just could not believe what I'm seeing on the news. And I'm glad that the university is a little bit quiet nowadays. But I know that they are circulating all over the different world leaders, and they are bribing them. If they're not, they're blackmailing them, and they're dangling their oil. Somebody's dangling their oil to convince all of these nations to give a pass for this state called Palestine, which is a complete hoax. It's a hoax. Okay, they only have one president, Yasser Arafat. Other than that, never in history did I ever really have a government. It's like, and it's just unbelievable to me, like what the ICC is doing. And I already know. Okay, if you see what happened to this Ibrahim Raisi, I think that's just an act of God. There's so many conspiracy about it, but let's face it. If he's not a tactical, person, if he's not a tactical commander, if he's not, you know, if he's not the Ayatollah. So why would you take such an old helicopter? And it seems to me, it is very clear to me that if they could not find their helicopter, and there were two other helicopters that is supposed to accompany this particular helicopter that is carrying not just the prime minister, but the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. They knew something was going on, and this thing is about to crash. That tells me that those two other helicopters could care less about that helicopter. There is such high, what do you call this? It's such a severely demoralized country that the leadership is so detached from its people that the people can technically conspire against its government. Just like that. They had 300, 190 different demonstrations happening over and over in every social strata in Iran. And that tells me that Iran is not just in the brink of a revolution. I think they are in a brink of a revival. Now, that is just me. But there is also Jeremiah 49:34-39, which depicts that God himself is going to take it over. And so the ICC, in my language, ICC it sounds like I am remorseful. There is going to be a backlash on the ICC and all those people that are there. And even with what's happened to Ireland, to Spain, okay, this can't possibly be the people. It is just a handful of people in leadership that are either being blackmailed or being bribed, or they have to bow down to the oil generating countries, okay, and I'm not going to mention who. And as we can already tell, like, how many countries can actually ever, I mean, you don't find this not even in Africa. You don't find this concept where people, can you imagine if Filipinos decided to build tunnels underneath the United States just so we can kill Americans? I mean, that insane concept right there. And then you train your kids to go kill fellow Americans. Okay, the people you are with, your very own neighbors, that you are so gung-ho to want to kill them that you decided not to have the money, okay? You poured all your resources just to build freaking tunnels so that you could kill your neighbor, and you're going to train your children to do that. This is the sickest part of what is happening among the Arabs in Israel. And there's a conspiracy. Okay, they don't want to say, oh, don't believe in the conspiracy. Well, there is. This new world order is conspiring against Israel because they don't want them to exist. They do not want, okay, talk about collectiveness, okay? They said the collective punishment. What about the collective conscientiousness? Why is there no collective conscientiousness among all of humanity, okay? All of humanity, to have a consciousness, okay, that we as a human being are to show compassion. You know, you don't have to be a Christian to say you must love your neighbor, because if you were to hate your neighbor, a calamity hits, who are you going to depend on? Okay, so it is completely insane, all the things that's happening with the ICC. And Germany have the audacity to put a warrant against the leadership in Israel, and to do that to Netanyahu is, it's so insane, because you really cannot. If this had happened to Germany, can you imagine if a minority group decided to go and build tunnels in their homeland, teach all their children, okay, teach all their children to commit suicide, to be the best jihadist, to be the best freedom fighter? Against, I mean, they're repeating, Germany is repeating it all over again. Repeating it all over again. And we have to pray for the heart, the mind of these world leaders. And we have to pray for the citizen to wake up. Because majority of the citizen in Ireland, I do not think, I mean, they're humans. I just cannot imagine them having a majority of people in agreement with terrorism, except for the severe propaganda and the brainwashing that's taking place. And you cannot break this brainwashing until you confront them with the truth. And there's so much, there's this concept of the bima. You know, the bima is a pulpit. And oftentimes, good people leave the stage for someone else. We are not occupying the stage. We let all these people that are very liberal, throwing temper tantrums, the liberty to dominate the stage. And that, in a sense, is negligence on the part of the citizens who actually cares the most. It is negligence to leave the stage only for the liberals to rule over. And so this ICC, There is no way these people, either would they have a hard heart, completely senseless, or they're being bribed or puppeteered. But this is a really sad situation. And the Lord does not like those tunnels. The Lord does not like those tunnels. So the Jews are going after it because they have to, because that is the supply chain. The tunnels are the supply chain for all their daily barrage of rockets. We do not experience that in the United States. In the Philippines, we never experience that. We've had calamities, but we never experience that kind of headache every single day. Rockets might just shoot at us. It's unbelievable. So I can only pray, and I know that there are a lot of Christians there that are just not able to speak up. And even those that have a heart of compassion, they need to rise up. We need to rise up to renounce this act of terrorism. And again, the Lord does not like those tunnels. So if Israel is going after those tunnels, it's not because of Israel alone. It is because God wanted them to. The Lord is exposing all those tunnels that the enemy has been building. And mind you, we have them too in California. But we have different constituents, and we don't have the most criminally minded people that is sanctioned by their religious upbringing to kill, steal, and destroy. So anyway, these are my thoughts for tonight. Oh, sorry. I am totally like I just cannot believe what is going on with these European countries. Um and then Egypt, you know, they are totally in confrontation with Israel right now because Israel finally figured out that there are I don't know how many tunnels do they need. I mean, this is kind of like sick. It's like a bunch of tapeworms, in a stomach. It's like I don't know all those tunnels, and those are that's the supply chain for the rockets. And so anyway, I'm gonna end it right here. And thank you and God bless. And the Lord is putting in my heart the use of like rubber ducky. Rubber duckies are resilient. They always float no matter how much you push them down. And I do believe that there's a lot more people in support of Israel that need to rise up. So anyway, I'm gonna end it. Thank you. God bless.